Today is going to be a different style of video than what I usually do. I'm going to be showing you my workflow, how I draft my books, and then how I edit them. I'm going to show you the programs that I personally like to use as an author and as an editor as well. So I use these programs at different times, and I edit my own manuscripts. I also edit other authors and writers' manuscripts as an editor, so I'll show you exactly what I do, how I do it, and what programs I use. So first, right now, you're seeing the Fictionary Story Coach interface. This is where I do the editing. But first I want to show you where I build my drafts. So I use this program called DABBLE, and this is my personal favorite. A lot of people like to use Scrivener. I've tried Scrivener before as well. But I just personally prefer DABBLE. You can also use Google Docs or Microsoft Word, that's a classic. But again, I personally like to use DABBLE, just personal preference. This is what the interface looks like in case you're curious to check that out. They offer a 14-day free trial as well that you can check out and try for yourself, but this is just a little demo here for you guys. While I'm here, I can show you what you can do with this program. So it's first and foremost primarily a word processor, just like Microsoft Word or Scrivener. You have on the left-hand side here all of your chapters. You can create parts, chapters, and within that you have scenes, and you can organize them however you like. You can drag and drop, you can rename, you can add new scenes, you can even add images, and as you can see, you can export in different documents. There's a lot of cool things you can do. You can even change the icons here. So let's say you might want to keep track of where you are with writing or editing. You can maybe select this option to show that, oh, you finished working on this particular chapter. Another cool thing you can do in DABBLE is you can plan your story using scene cards, plot cards, like plot grid. So what I've done with that is this book that I'm working on is called Convergence Point, and this is the first book in the series that I'm writing, Echo Protocol. So I'll just show you through this what I like to do personally for plotting my book. So I just go down here to plot, and I have all the scenes. DABBLE adds them automatically as you write your book. So all the scenes are all here, and then for each scene I've added different things I want to make sure that I watch out for each scene. So I want to look at the timeline. So when does this scene take place in the timeline of the story? What is the goal of the scene? So what is the protagonist's goal for the scene? And then the story goal. Does the scene goal relate to the goal of the entire story? And then the challenge, what stands in the way in that particular scene, and what if the goal, the scene goal, fails? What are the stakes? What's the outcome? Does the protagonist succeed or fail their goal? And then, as you can see, this is locked here so you can easily scroll. Scene change. How has the story goal changed by the end of the scene? Let's come over here. Because as we know, scenes and stories are all about change. So what has changed? What is the impact? How does that scene impact or change the protagonist? And then what happens as a result? What's the cause and effect? So as a result of that scene, what happens that leads into the next scene, that causes the next scene? And then here I have the arc of change tracker. So with my story in particular, the protagonist arc of change is with the relationship with her father, so I'm tracking that using this column over here. And you can add whatever you want here. This is what I prefer to do for my own personal plotting. And I haven't finished all of it yet, but yeah, that's what I do for plotting. So Dabble is great to be able to do that as well. Some other cool features that Dabble has are some inline things. So if you select some text within the document, you can do the basics like bold, italicize, you can strike through. You can also do two different kinds of quotes. So you can do this kind of block quote here, or you can do this kind of block quote here. Or I guess this would be more center aligned block quote, and this would be more left justified block quote. But you can do either. And you can also highlight. You can do different colors. You can even do black. But that just takes out the entire paragraph. So you can do different colored highlights, like maybe you want to show different things with different colored highlights. You can do that. And you can also add sticky notes, which is a really cool feature. Different colored sticky notes that you can drag and drop anywhere on the page. Maybe you want to add some notes here. You can paste it wherever you like. And then you can also leave comments. So that's another cool feature. And here on the right hand side you can toggle different features. So co-authors, I'll show you that soon as well. So Dabble allows you to be able to co-author a book, or you can invite an editor to come edit your book with these kinds of comments and different changes. And you can even set it so that if you're co-authoring a book, you can set your own color. So if you as an author are writing, it shows up in a different color than the other author who's writing within the same document. So you can keep track of who's written what within that document. ProWriting Aid also comes built in with the Dabble interface, so whether you have ProWriting Aid or not separately, it comes with Dabble. So you can use ProWriting Aid within Dabble, it just comes with it. So that's a handy feature for checking your, spelling, grammar, style, and all that. As you can see here with all these highlights and this on the side, I have ProWriting Aid everywhere anyway, so that I get those highlights anyway. But if you don't have ProWriting Aid, these would still show up in Dabble, which is a really cool feature, I would say. Because a lot of times I've noticed, like, when I use Atticus, for example, which is another software that I like to use for book formatting, sometimes ProWriting Aid everywhere doesn't work in Atticus. I have to restart it. I mentioned in a previous video, I did a whole video talking about Atticus. You could check that out. I will link it at the top of this video somewhere. But for Atticus, I find there's a lot of bugs still in the program, so that could be why it doesn't show up for me sometimes. But usually after a restart it shows up, but it's, I think that's an Atticus thing, that's not a ProWriting Aid thing. But anyway, so you can hide comments if you want, or show them. There's some word tools here. A cool thing you can do for the thesaurus is that you can highlight a word and it automatically gives you synonyms for that word. So that's really cool. You can have it read your story to you. So if you want that option is there as well. You can check out the comments history. Comments are open and you can edit the comments, you could delete them. These are for the plot grid, so you can check out the notes over here as well in this kind of view. And another cool thing is Dabble integrates with NaNoWriMo, so every November you have the option of integration with NaNoWriMo, And for those of you who aren't familiar with NaNoWriMo, it's every November it's National Novel Writing Month, where authors everywhere and writers everywhere come together to write a 50,000 word novel or draft a 50,000 word novel. And so that is something that DABBLE takes into account as well, so you can integrate that. But if you don't do NaNoWriMo, if you're just writing, you can set your own goals here. So it's, if I ever use goals for like how much I want to write every day, or if I have a specific goal like I want to reach 80,000 words by a specific day, I use the DABBLE goals, because Atticus has this as well and some other programs have it, but I find that the DABBLE interface is the most streamlined and best designed for this. I'll give you an example here. So let's say you can choose if you want to have this be like, okay, I just want to finish this book by a specific day. So let's say I want to finish this by December 31st. So this is set to 50,000 words by default, probably due to NaNoWriMo, but let's say I want to, by December 31st, I want to have 100,000 words in this particular book. Then I would write 100,000 and set it here for December 31st. And right now I have about 83,000 words written, so it would essentially plan out how many words I have to write per day to reach this goal. This is just for excluding words. So let's say I've written 83,000 words already. So if I put this here, it means it's going to calculate me writing 100,000 more words on top of the 83,000 that I've already written. But let's say I don't want to do that. Let's say I just want to write 100,000 words in total. So then I'll leave it as that. And then another handy thing that DABBLE lets you do is you can take days off. So let's say I know I'm not going to be able to write on this day because it's Thanksgiving or whatever, and maybe this day because it's Christmas, and this day because it's New Year's, even though that's the deadline day that I set. Then I can do that. Right now I've just been working off of project goals, so you work backwards from when you want it to be complete, but you can also set it as just daily goal, like you just want to write 6,000 words per day, so you write 6,000 in here and select this if you want DABBLE to send you email reminders daily. So it's a really, really cool feature. I usually do project goal rather than daily goal because I work really, really well on deadlines. So if I set a deadline for myself, then I like to work backwards from that. So if I click Save Changes, then you could see here, it shows what today's goal is based on the fact that I want to write 100,000 words by December 31st. And since I've already written 83,000, almost 84,000 of this particular book, then I only have 16,000 more to reach the project goal. So it's taking this 16,000 and dividing it by however many days that I put in. So this is very useful here, very useful tool. And this right here just shows you how many words you've written in the last 30 days. So you could see here. And the timer is exactly how it sounds. So it's just, if you like to work in sprints, you could set a timer and you could hit start now and it counts down for you. So let's say you want to write for 15 minutes straight and you want the timer to start, then it does this for you. A few other things I wanted to show you is that if you go into project settings, you can change the name of the project, which is different from the title of the book, so you can edit those separately. So this is just the project name, and you can change that here. This is where you would add co-authors, and you can invite a co-author. So a co-author has to have a DABBLE account as well to be able to co-author the book with you. You can type in their email, click invite, and it will email them an invite. And if they don't have a DABBLE account, it will invite them to create one so that they can co-author the document with you. Or this is particularly useful if you're a writer and you want someone to come edit your document within DABBLE. But again, they have to have a DABBLE account as well. And then you can track the roles of all your co-authors, like you can assign them different statuses. If there's just one, then this is all grayed out. But if there's more than one, you can assign them as editor and co-author and things like that. And then you can track author changes here. And this is what I was mentioning before about you can keep track of who writes what and allow different text colors for each author. So that's a handy tool right there. I like to have these checked off because I like to have ProWriting guide me as I write as well. So I like to have this help me along the way. Sometimes writers prefer to write and edit afterwards, and that's totally fine. You can uncheck these in that case. And here we go. Yeah, spell and style grammar checking are powered by ProWriting, which I mentioned comes with DABBLE. And this is just the settings for if you want your book to be read to you. Here you go. For export settings, you can set your specific settings that you want when you're exporting your document. When you export into manuscript format, at the top of the page, the title page, you can set what you want your phone number, address to be if you want to include that. If you don't, then you just leave it blank. And how you want to separate the scene. This is just the default. These are default values. This is how it's going to show up when you export it, and if you want to change that here, you change that here. The formatting is for how you want to draft in DABBLE, so you can change the different font to the kind of book you're writing. So let's say you're writing a thriller, or you're writing romance, or you want a dyslexic font. So this is just while you're drafting. Maybe you like Times New Roman. I just like to keep it default, but you can choose whatever you like, whatever works best for you. You can even make the text very big if you like, or very small. I like to, again, keep it at default or at 14. Those are my two favorites. And then you can change the paragraph style. So this is modern style. This is modified book style, where the first paragraph is indented, and this is book style, where the first paragraph is not indented, but the rest are indented. Then you can change the spacing. Single space if you prefer that, 1.5 spaced, or double spaced. And then you can save that here. And these are just the same thing here for notes. So this is like inside your document, where you're writing your book, and this is outside of it. So when you're writing notes about your document. So here again you can change this, and you can change this if you like, and then you could reset all defaults here. So it is November this month, so I just wanted to show you how NaNoWriMo works. If you go to this up here, you can go to NaNoWriMo/challenge. Here, if you press authenticate with NaNoWriMo, then that will automatically go to your goals that I showed you earlier. So it will set this into your goal setting. So that's a really cool feature. Right now I don't want that, so I'm just going to click no thanks. But you can always do that. That's always an option. The cool thing about DABBLE is you can export whatever level you want. So let's say you only want to export this first chapter, or let's say you only want to export the prologue. So you just press export to, and then you select where you want to export. Or you can export the entire book. Then you press that, you go down to export to. Yeah, and a neat thing is you can also set your cover art for the book. You can also insert images, and the images export with your book as well, which is cool. So I usually like to export to Word because that's the easiest, and I like to name it, well, I guess I could leave it as that name. And there's DABBLE format, manuscript format. I always export to manuscript format because that's what I use the most when I want to export and then import either to Dictionary or Atticus. Then I find that manuscript format is the best. It works for AutoCrit as well, which I will talk about all these programs in future videos. I'll do a video dedicated to each of these programs just to go in depth into each program for you as a writer to see if it fits into your workflow, and if so, how it might fit into your workflow. You can decide yourself whether you think that this program works for you or not, but I'm just here to provide the information to you guys and different ideas that could help you refine your writing and publishing process. So then you just click export, and then you just save, and then it shows up where you save it. And I just want to show you here as well. This drop down, you can export a few chapters or a few pages. And then here you can select how many, or as I said, you can just go to the individual chapter and then export that chapter, and then that will be exported for you. So that's a quick tour of Dabble for you. Next week I will make a video of how I import this into Fictionary for step 2 of my drafting and editing process. Alright, happy writing, happy drafting. If you want to try out Dabble, I'm linking to that down in the description below, so feel free to check that out. Like I said before, Dabble offers a 14-day free trial if you want to check out whether it works for you and your workflow. And until next time, happy drafting. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.